At 9:17 a.m. last Friday, an encrypted email slipped into several Hollywood reporters' inboxes. No subject line, no sender name, just the first sentence visible in preview: "My husband did not drown." Attached were 13 scanned pages stamped with a Miami coroner's seal, a blurry photo of a silver flask, and a voice memo that ends with a trembling promise: "I'll release everything if they keep lying." The sender? Malcolm Jamal Warner's wife, the same woman he spent decades shielding from cameras, gossip columns, even fan conventions. In public, she was a ghost. Off-screen, she's suddenly the loudest voice in the room. And her story blows a hole straight through the tidy headline we all scrolled past. Actor dies in rip current, age 54. She claims Malcolm was poisoned hours before he ever touched the water. She says the official autopsy skipped key tests, that a mysterious friend who swam with him vanished from every patient log, and that an entire hard drive of unreleased podcast files explains why her husband became a target. Whether you end up believing her or not, one thing is clear: the moment that email hit, the drowning narrative went from tragic to suspicious. And the deeper you dig, the harder it is to shake the feeling that someone wanted this death wrapped up and buried fast. So let's unravel her evidence, from the missing flask to the clashing autopsy reports, and see if the wave that took Malcolm Jamal Warner was nature's doing, or someone else's perfect alibi. Malcolm Jamal Warner mastered what most public figures never learn: the art of invisibility. Red carpet cameras caught him alone, or with castmates, never with his spouse. Interviews? He joked he'd sooner leak his social security number than a family selfie. The internet couldn't even agree on her first name. Some blogs guessed Lacey, others Nina. That shroud was deliberate. Warner once told a podcast host, "Privacy is armor." In this business, the minute they label your family, they can weaponize them. So, when a notarized letter surfaced on August 1st, signed only MJW's wife and mother of his child, the same outlets that swore she didn't exist raced to authenticate it. Warner's longtime publicist confirmed the signature. Close friends, contacted privately, said it matched the handwriting on the actor's wedding invitations. In one gesture, the ghost of Warner's private life became the star witness. Her choice to stay unnamed even now adds weight. She isn't chasing a spotlight, she's driving a wrecking ball through a narrative she calls dangerous fiction. And she begins by dismantling the medical backbone of that narrative. Costa Rican forensics concluded Warner inhaled seawater. His lungs flooded. His heart failed. The report is terse, 11 pages, 4 devoted to chain of custody seals. But the widow claims a second autopsy performed in Miami tells a radically different story. No water in the lungs, minimal sand in the airways, and, most damning, no diatoms, microscopic algae that rush into the bloodstream during real drownings. She includes a pathology summary noting an absence of hallmark submersion artifacts. Why would 2 autopsies disagree so violently? Pathologists explain that minor discrepancies happen, but a dry lung versus a flooded lung is not minor. It is night and day. Either Warner inhaled ocean water or he didn't. If he didn't, then something stopped his respiration before his body ever met the Pacific. The widow demands the Costa Rican authorities release their full lab sheets, not just the narrative page. So far, silence. Meanwhile, independent medical journalists point out another oddity. The official report lists toxicology results as pending, yet the cause of death was finalized anyway. In many jurisdictions, pathologists wait for tox screens before ruling definitive drowning, precisely because toxins can mimic asphyxia. Something smells off, and the widow moves quickly to explain what she believes that something is. She alleges her husband ingested, or was injected with, a nerve-blocking agent, the sort that shuts down muscles gradually while leaving the victim conscious. Think of it like an invisible hand squeezing tighter each minute. Early symptoms include muscle fatigue, subtle enough to resemble vacation exhaustion. Full paralysis follows, and if you happen to be wading waist-deep in rough surf when it peaks, escape becomes impossible. Her claim hinges on a missing object, A matte silver flask witnesses say Warner carried that morning. Several beach vendors recall it because it wasn't the typical tourist water bottle. It looked upscale, more like a minimalist thermos. Yet when police cataloged personal effects, the flask didn't appear. First responders say they never saw it. Hotel staff insist room cleaners found no such item. The widow presents an email from her Miami pathologist, flagging significantly suppressed cholinesterase levels. Certain pesticides and covert-grade nerve blockers cause exactly that suppression. Alone, it proves nothing. Together with the vanished flask, it paints a grim possibility. Warner drank poison disguised as hydration, walked into the waves, and never had a chance to fight. Skeptics counter that suppressed cholinesterase can stem from prescription meds or lab error. The widow responds by challenging authorities to release all fluid samples for independent testing. Until they do, the poison theory persists like smoke with no visible fire. Yet, publicly, the Costa Rica trip looked idyllic. Instagram geotags show the family at wildlife sanctuaries, a cacao farm, a sunset catamaran. But the widow says those posts were scheduled content, cued weeks earlier. The real mood at Casa Warner was fear. Starting mid-July, Warner's phone received nightly calls from masked numbers. He never heard a voice, only a modulated growl delivering one line: "Stop talking, or the people you love suffer." Phone records confirm blocked ID pings from virtual exchanges in 3 countries. His wife begged him to alert the FBI. Warner insisted stress would vanish after a break abroad. They chose Costa Rica for its reputation as safe, laid-back, black tourist-friendly. Yet the first night in Lyman Province, the family's rental SUV was tailed by a black Toyota Prado. They saw it again outside a seafood restaurant the next afternoon. Warner brushed it off, calling it a common model. His wife snapped photos anyway. Those grainy shots now sit in her legal file, timestamps intact, number plate obscured by glare. By the 3rd day, he agreed. They'd keep outings low-key, beach in the early morning before crowds. The plan might have worked if the beach itself hadn't been the trap. Early coverage misreported that Warner swam only with his daughter. Police corrected it. An adult male friend went in too, struggled, but survived and left the hospital within 48 hours. His name remains sealed under Costa Rican privacy law. Reporters tried locating American tourists discharged that day. No match. Some speculate he wasn't American at all. The widow's investigators traced hospital billing ledgers. They found one foreign male logged as John D., with minor abrasions, discharged July 22nd. Passport filed under Canadian nationality. When they contacted Canadian consular officials, no such citizen was recorded. The ledger entry they claim vanished on a later printout. Why does any of this matter? Because without that man's account, no one outside police can confirm how long Warner was in distress, whether he called for help, or whether he suddenly went limp without warning. An outcome perfectly consistent with toxin-induced paralysis. The widow has offered $50,000 for verifiable ID of the ghost swimmer. So far, no takers. Meanwhile, beach crowds that day numbered in the hundreds, yet not one legitimate video of the rescue exists online. In 2025, when bystanders film everything from sunsets to sandwich unboxings, an A-list actor's final moments produce 0 clips. Either collective decency suddenly reigned, or someone collected phones and stories before footage could surface. 5 days before he died, Warner recorded 3 podcast segments in a rented Atlanta studio. Only one aired, the episode where he reframes Black excellence as survival. The other 2, labeled simply Truth A and Truth B, never left his encrypted laptop. That laptop now sits in a safety deposit box under his widow's name. She allowed one reporter to hear 60 seconds. In those 60 seconds, Warner allegedly mentions the studio head who thinks owning people is still legal, names an agency that pays hush money to mothers after on-set incidents, says, "If you're hearing this, either I released it or I'm not here to." He ends with, "Black survival is excellence, But Black truth-telling is freedom, and freedom scares them more than anything. If the widow uploads those files, Hollywood's earthquake sensors may register the hit. But she's waiting. She wants authorities to reopen the case first. Her lawyer calls it leverage. Her detractors call it blackmail. Either way, the drive is a ticking clock in someone's nightmare. Enter attorney Marisol Green, whose career highlight was forcing LAPD to release body cam footage in a police-involved fatality. Green has already filed a U.S. wrongful death suit, naming John Does 1 through 10, a strategic move letting them subpoena telecom records, airport manifests, and Costa Rican lifeguard logs. Parallel to Green is Darius Cole, a retired FBI profiler known for mapping organized crime footprints. Cole's angle: treat the threats, the SUV, the phone calls, and the missing flask as a single operation. He's studying cell tower pings near the beach and has requested CCTV from the rental car lot. The Costa Rican government, under mounting social media pressure, says it will cooperate within sovereignty limits, a phrase lawyers translate as, "will move if forced." Public momentum builds daily. The widow's GoFundMe, meant to cover independent toxicology and a possible exhumation, hit its initial $500,000 goal in 27 hours, surged past $900,000 by day 3. Donors range from college students wiring $5 to veteran actors sending 5-figure sums, each leaving messages like, "For Theo," or "Truth Floats." A blue-check chorus of musicians, comedians, and activists pushes the hashtag number Justice for Malcolm with wave and zipper mouth emojis, subtle yet unmistakable. The tide's coming in, and someone wants it quiet. 3 pillars now hold up a story that no longer fits the tidy box labeled accident. Conflicting autopsies, one dry lung, one flooded. Both can't be right. The poison breadcrumb trail, suppressed enzymes, a missing flask, paralysis that masquerades as panic, a vanishing witness, and unheard files. The ghost swimmer no one can name, and podcast segments loaded like torpedoes. Combine them with weeks of threats, mysterious tail cars, and a grieving widow armed with lawyers and a dead man switch, and the rip current tale feels increasingly flimsy. Either Malcolm Jamal Warner became the unluckiest swimmer on Earth, or someone orchestrated an exit with chilling precision. So what do you believe? Was this merely nature's brutality, striking a vacationing family? Or was a beloved actor silenced exactly when his voice threatened the powerful? Drop your thoughts below. And remember, secrets may sink deep, but sooner or later they rise, just like the truth his widow refuses to let drown.